Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list, and happy Thanksgiving to those of you who are watching. With Thanksgiving in mind, I decided to do a top 10 list based on Native Americans and the Pilgrims. How appropriate. So I went through my collection to see what I had, and I came up a little short because a lot of the notes that feature Native Americans uh, are on the high denomination stuff. However, I do have enough of the replicas to complete it. So I do have a couple replicas in here this week. I hate using replicas, but sometimes you just have to do what you got to do. So let's get started with my top 10 notes featuring Native Americans and the Pilgrims. Number 10, we're starting off with this one right here. This is a 1902 third charter period national currency, national banknote. This particular one happens to be from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, but all of the $5 nationals from the third charter period, this would be series of right there, series of 1902. All of these notes feature this image on the back, which is the landing of the Pilgrims. You can see the rough seas, the Pilgrims about to land on Plymouth Rock. And the engravers really like this image because this note is number 10 on the list, showing the complete landing of the Pilgrims. Number 9, we are going with the first of the nationals, the $1 ace note. This one here is from the 1875. Yeah, series of 1875. The back of the original series and the 1875 is the same. But the thing is it also shows the landing of the Pilgrims. It's the exact same image. So this image started off on the $1 note way back in 1862, and by 1875 had gone on to the back of this version of the ace, and of course the same version was used on the fives. So that one is number 9. Also the landing of the Pilgrims, but this time on an ace. Number 8, back to 1900s. This is the 1918. Not the same. Well, this one here is the another Federal Reserve banknote. This one happens to be from Atlanta. Yes, this one also happens to be a replica. I didn't realize I didn't have one of these, so this is going to be on my wish list for next year for sure. Anyway, the $5 Federal Reserve banknote. This one incorporates the landing of the Pilgrims, and it also adds Columbus in sight of land. Columbus, is that exactly what it is? Yeah, Columbus sighting land. That's this portion right here. And in this note, you can actually see the land off in the distance. So there's Columbus sighting land, and here is the landing of the Pilgrims. And yeah, these images were, 100 years apart? I mean, you hear about the Pilgrims in, 1600s, 15 to 1600s. We all know this was 1492. So a long time happened from the sighting of land until the landing of the Pilgrims. So that one is number 8. Number 7. What I started to say, this one is not the same note. This is a Federal Reserve note, whereas the previous was a Federal Reserve bank note. I've explained the differences in those before. But this one, the Federal Reserve note, from the about the same time period as the last note. This one happens to be from, where's the series? Right here, series of 1914. Now, it greatly resembles the Federal Reserve bank note. You have the Federal Reserve bank note and the Federal Reserve note. It resembles it so much so that, yes, the backs are identical. This one, of course, is real. Once again, still going with the landing of the Pilgrims on this side. And when we look on this side, we have Columbus sighting land once again. So the same background. I just noticed there's a ship in the background. Is that on the other one too? Probably. I'm just that dense. Yep, you can see the ship right there. It just sticks out more in the real note. That's interesting. Anyway, landing of the Pilgrims and Columbus on the $5 1914 Federal Reserve note. That one is number 7. Number 6. Back to the original series. This was actually a replica of the 1875 series, but the original series had the exact same back. For nationals, this is a $10 note, and the $10 note features on the back one of the more humorous ones. This is DeSoto discovers the Mississippi. That's the image that's on here. Yeah, DeSoto, all by himself, discovering the Mississippi River. Congratulations, DeSoto. I'm glad there was nobody there to help you out. I'm glad you were the first person to ever see the Mississippi River. We can see in the background members of the tribe. We can see the teepees here in the back. But yeah, congratulations to DeSoto for being the first person to ever discover the Mississippi River, regardless of how many people were actually there prior to him. They felt it important enough to put on the back of our money, but at least they did give credit to the people who were already there. So yeah, DeSoto is going, wow, nobody has ever seen this before, as he stands in a crowd. And I know this isn't a photograph, it's a picture, but they didn't have cameras back then. So that's what they chose to memorialize. Anyway, that one is number 6. Number 5. Another first series national from the first charter period. This one is also a replica from the 1875 series. Once again, these started 1862 to 1865. Those were the originals and the 1875 series. This is a 20. Both had the same backs. And on the back of this one, we can see, where is this? This is the baptism of Pocahontas. The baptism of Pocahontas. That's Pocahontas, yes. Not just a Disney character, actual person. So this is the first time that an actual named woman probably appeared on our notes. That would be 1865. Yeah. Been a long time since then, but anyway, there's Pocahontas on the back of the note. This is the baptism of Pocahontas. On an 1875 replica, it's actually 1862 to 1865 on the originals. That one is number 5. Number 4. What do you know? The exact same series once again. Do you see the trend? It was on the original series 1, the original series 10, the original series 20. Here's the original series 50. And on the original series 50, if we take a look at the back, we have, this is the embarkation of the Pilgrims. So this is the Pilgrims on the ship waiting to disembark, getting blessings from the priest. Yeah, so that is the embarkation of the Pilgrims on an 1865-ish $50 bill. That one would be number 4. Number 3. This has always been one of the coolest images I've ever seen. This is the $2 bill from Detroit, Michigan. This is a remainder note from an obsolete bank. That would be the State Bank of Michigan out of Detroit. And this one happens to be a $2 bill, but look at the image on there. That is just so impressive. It was put out by the American Banknote Company. I don't have the name of the image, but I call it The Hunt. You can see the Indians hunting the bison there. Got the front end of the bison, back end of the bison. Birds in the background because they know they're going to get some afterwards. Just such a cool image of the Indian on horseback during the hunt. You got a couple of them there. A couple more bison in the background as they're going through the herd. One there, a couple there. So just a very detailed picture for such a small vignette on an obsolete currency that most people have never seen. I'll be honest, when I first saw this, I was drawn to this image and had to get the note. So this was the first of the Detroit remainders that I got. I have since gotten the entire sheet, but that's the image on the note. Nothing on the back of this one, of course. So that one is number 3. Number 2. All of you know this as the Jackass note. Jackass note is $10 1880 legal tender. First time this note appeared is actually 1869, and it came out in a rainbow. And this one, I don't have the rainbow, but I've got the 1880 version. And this one, if we zoom in here, normally we're talking about the eagle, because when you turn that upside down, I mean, how do you not show the donkey? It's a jackass right there. You can see the white muzzle, the eye, the ears. But that's not what this note is about today. This note is about this right here. And that is Pocahontas presented to the royal court. So Pocahontas went back to England and was introduced to the king in the royal court. So that is on the $10 legal tender from both 1869 and 1880. That is number 2. And finally, number 1, the note you probably could have guessed when I first started doing this. It is the 1899 Chief Note. 1899 Chief Note. This particular note has the Indian on the center, and it has an interesting backstory because the person, I want to make sure I get the name right. I got my book here, and it's a tough one to pronounce. Everybody calls him Chief Running Antelope. That's his name there. His actual name, this is the bust of Tadokananyaka. Also known as Running Antelope, a member of the Unkpapa tribe, which a lot of people will call the One Papa tribe, but it's actually Unk, O-N-C. So the Unkpapa tribe of Sioux Indians. That's who this actually is. Now, the thing is, so he is part of the Sioux tribe, the Sioux Nation, but the headdress was not. And when he sat for the engravers, he refused to wear the headdress because it wasn't from his tribe. It was actually from a rival tribe, and I wonder if it says which one it was. I don't quite remember off the top of my head. Nope, doesn't say here. But the headdress was from a rival tribe, and because people just didn't care at the time, and a lot still don't, they said, just put it on. We don't, and he refused. So the engraver had to engrave his image, and then later on had to add the engraving of the headdress on there. So, yeah, here it is, 1899, and right in the midst of not taking care of Native American culture. Glad to see things have changed. But yeah, that is the Chief Note, one of the most beautiful notes and most beautiful images you're going to find on our notes. So that was what I put together for my Thanksgiving top 10 list. Native Americans and Pilgrims on our money. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.